Now that I've got all my polybond dry, I can sand it. So what I've done, I've sanded, and you can kind of see I've put a 90-degree angle on the corners here. It is much easier to get a nice rounded edge if you do that. My door jambs, still working on those. So what I'm going to do, oh, here's part of the reason why I put the 2-inch tape on here. You just can't, I mean, no matter how good you are at spreading Bondo, at some point you still kind of make a mess. So if I put tape on it, I don't have to sand any of that off. I can just peel it off. So that's the reason for doing that. I would highly suggest it. You know, you can see I got kind of a mess on the bottom, but I've got a good line. I'm going to go ahead and first I'm going to put a 45 on here. And this is the first body I've done in maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. What happens around here, sometimes I'll come and I'll go, what are you doing? Why are you doing it like that? And they're like, oh, we've always done it like that. And my comment's going to be, I've never done it like that, and I'm the guy that designed it. So education and training is incredibly important. Daryl kind of coined the phrase around here, we're going to make them like Legos. Everything's going to be the same every time. So we're working on that education. This one is actually going to a college or a high school in Colorado. It's going to be used for training young people. I'm really excited about that. I'm going to work with them on curriculum also. We'll share more about that. But my next thing on this one, I'm going to take this edge, I'm going to sand a 45 on that. And after I do that, I'm going to show you what it'll look like and why I did it. So I could have probably set up my camera and run high speed. This all took me about, a couple minutes, barely. So what happens here, you can see this isn't as wide as that, but this is all at a pretty good 45. I mean, I can see what my angle's going to be. And depending on your skill level, and this, you know, I'm coming to the conclusion now, we need to train people, and sometimes my expectations are a little high. They do this, do that, and when it's not getting done my way and my speed, I'm like, come on. But if you've never done it before, I get it. You know, so looking at it, I can see and you can see. If I was going to go with my sander, I would want to widen that up a little bit more, because once I come to over here, I take my sander and I'm just rolling over the edge. It makes my bevel a whole lot more consistent. Now I did that with a DA. You can do that by hand. Again, it comes down to your comfort level with the tool that you're using, but power tools are definitely there to make the job easier and faster. So to learn the tools and learn how to use them, because doing it at home is one thing, and you know, your time frame is not as critical, and we're doing it because we enjoy doing it. That's why we do this. This isn't about, you know, if I was here just for the money, I wouldn't be here. I enjoy building cars. So, and a lot of you all do too. So if we're there, I'm gonna, the reason I cut the angle on this, I still got to put Bondo on it. Rather than putting Bondo on top of it and make it a 90, which I will make it a 90 again with Bondo. This is a harder material than the Bondo. The Bondo is going to be softer. So what will happen when you're sanding, if I don't have it to a place where I'm only sanding Bondo, I'm going to be sanding on this and I'm going to be sanding Bondo. Well, obviously the softer material is going to sand faster, and the harder material will sand slower, so I'm going to have a kind of a lump where the Bondo sands off faster. So it's just an FYI, something you learn after doing it for a while, I guess. Alright, so you can see I've done a quick round on the whole thing. You can see some of that visually, and really visually, if this was shiny, you could use the light to use the reflection to see actually how it looks. But one of the things about body work, I mean, you'll be able to feel it. Unfortunately, on that aspect of body work, some people can feel it and some can't. That's almost one of those things that if you can't feel it, you almost can't train it. Bondo on, Bondo off, Bondo on, Bondo off, Bondo on, Bondo off, and it's still not straight. It's unfortunate. You know, if you really want to do body work, use a block. You know, I can do a lot by hand and feel it. If you can't feel it well, use a block and do visual. One of the things you need to be really careful about. So I've blown this all off. I'm getting ready to put Bondo on it. but you see these pinholes. You got to get through there and even get a little pick or something, a razor blade or something. If you see one that's just kind of like this one here, I could pick that and make it a little bit deeper. Well, actually it's kind of solid there, but make sure that it's just not sort of covered over and there's a hole underneath of it. So when you put your last coat on, you don't have any pinholes in here. Here's probably one there. See how I pulled that out of there? Look through that. Make sure you don't have any of these. And ready for some Bondo. So we put the Bondo on a day like today. You better get it on quick because Bondo dries quick. You can see it's kind of droopy. It's not near as stiff as that Polybond. What I'm going to do, I'm going to sand this. I'm going to put that edge on. I don't need to show you again how I did that because it's the same process that I did with the other one. And then this is one coat of Bondo. It will probably need a skim coat. And I think what I'm going to do is let one of my guys that's an apprentice, maybe the Renegade, go ahead and finish it. And that's the way to learn. I remember if you're thinking about learning and teaching, I learned under a really good painter years and years and years ago, back in the day with synthetic enamel and a hot plate on your table of jitterbugs, and the D8 just came into existence back then. He didn't let me use a primer gun for months, let alone paint. First thing I learned was when I masked off a car, it better all be going the same direction. So when he started pulling that tape off, it all came off without coming off of each other. And I listened, you know, and I did what I was told. I'm finding in today's world, too many times, an apprentice is going to do his own way. That's not an apprentice. I know better. We've had too many now as I'm trying to fill the gaps here. At some point it's going to be real easy. If you know it all and you're such an awesome hot rod builder, you go somewhere else and build hot rods, but you build them here, it's going to be my way. And honestly, when I say my way, it's the Spirit way. We got a great team of guys here that are awesome builders. Every one of them have their own abilities and weaknesses, so we complement each other that way. So what I'm going to do next, you can see this is a jig that's like a T-frame. I'm going to move it over to another frame that's got a couple tabs off down here. I'm going to set it up and I'm going to install the bed. So the next process on this is installing the bed. So the next step is installing a bed. So we have a bed here. Make sure that it is sanded well up in this area. That's where it's going to bond, and you can kind of see a body line right going down through here. It's going to go to the inside of there, the outside of this body line. Make sure this is sanded really well. What you're looking at here is a seam in the mold, so that'll be sanded gone. If you look at this, kind of like a Spirit 23 frame, except we've added these little, I'm going to call them bed handles. So you can just put the handle for putting the bed on, or a little bracket or whatever. So if you are doing this at home, you could probably just kind of measure that out and clamp a 2x4 to the bottom or something like that. It's wide enough so when you set the bed on, the bottom of the bed sets that and it gives you your level. So I'm going to get this prepped up, ready to put on, and then show you how we get it ready to put the mud on, or the Polybond, and then actually do that. So I've got things cleaned up pretty well. I got things sanded pretty well. I actually put a couple body bolts in it so that it kind of stays located. You want to make sure you can reach under here and measure, but go from the frame to the end of the body so that the body is centered up on the frame. You don't want it leaning too far one way or too far the other. That way when you set the bed up here and start to measure, the body's going to be centered down here and you're going to be good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and line this up. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a tape measure from here to here, 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 get it lined up and get it setting on here, and then I will Polybond it. So I've got everything fitted up, lined up, measured out, taped up. I taped around the edges all the way around the bottom. I'll make sure that the bottom of that box is parallel with the bottom of the car, otherwise it's going to look like it's going up or down. And if you got these two, whatever you're going to use to brace it up there, parallel. That will help you do that quite a bit. Looking into the back, not sure if you can, how well you can see it, but there's a body line, you want all them body lines to be parallel. I went ahead, and I don't know if any of you are cake decorators, but I got a bunch of these bags. They're banker bags. I bought a pallet of them at auction, but just so you can use a pretty significant bag, this will make a lot easier to go ahead and put the material in. So I'm going to pipe it into these corners instead of spreading it with a Bondo spreader, which I could do, but I thought I'd do the piping thing just to show you that can be done, and it'll make it easier, and then I'll show you how to spread it here after I get it in. So I piped the material in there pretty clean. This is pretty much a hidden area that I don't want to do a whole lot of body work on, so I want it to be as clean as possible. So what I did, it took me a Bondo spreader, put some tape around it, bend it into a shape that I want here, and now I can kind of go in here. You can see that cleans it up pretty well. I'll just clean it up like this. Go ahead and get a flat Bondo spreader to go around and clean the edges, and it'll clean it up pretty good. Not too hard to do. Mainly it's all about measuring. Measure, get everything straight, and I did, like I said, put the body bolts in to keep the body aligned, so I know where it is on the frame. I know where the whole box is on the whole thing, so I'm kind of liking it. Get close. The cleaner you put your Bondo, or in this case your poly bond, which is more like a vet panel adhesive than it is a Bondo, the easier the job's going to be. So we can clean this up really nice, really easy. Same on this side. And if you're in the body world, especially doing a lot of fillers, it's all about dry times. Same if you're a painter. I mean, when I've got this many cars that we're working on all at once, I don't need to stand here and watch this dry, because I'm looking at maybe 2 hours. It took me approximately 10 minutes to put that on, and now 2 hours to wait for it to dry. I can do a lot of other things in 2 hours, so maybe I'll do some return calls. So who knows, you may be hearing from me. So if you hear from me before you see this video, I might be talking about you. All right, so I just talked about being efficient and working on other things while stuff is drying. And everybody's working on stuff. We've got waving over here we're doing. But when you got Herschel in the complex and it's near lunchtime, best lunch in Brooklyn, over at Herschel's place. So I went over, had lunch, I'm back. What I did, you can kind of see, I took the tape off the top. Now there's tape that was holding this on here. I'll take that off and show you. Well, there's a gap in between there a little bit. I don't want to try to bond or poly bond on top of that. And again, this is a bonding material, it's not Bondo. So I want to grind all that out. And let me show you how I've already done that over here. So I've sanded that lip out so that I'm sure that I've got a good adhesion here, and I'll go on top of this and bond it on top also. And then I'll finish it with a little body work. And I think I may do that, show you the end of that, and this should be the end of part 2 of installing doors inserted. So if all I was doing was put the insert in and no doors, the insert would be in. I'm pretty close. I'm down to the last coat. I'll probably skin coat that one time with Bondo. I would have my bed and my insert done. But I think we'll save the installation of the doors for number 3. This is part 2. We'll do number 3. But let's see what's going on here. What do we got going on over here? We still got John. We still got the Renegade in the background.
Hello.
His dad. He's got to say hi to his kids.
Hello.
Hello, hello. So what are we doing over here?
Talking about skins.
Training.
Yeah.
We're training.
Yeah, we're about to hang some door skins and latches.
Are we making Legos?
Building. Stacking the pieces one at a time.
They fit?
So far.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was that laugh?
If they don't,
is that a cynical laugh? If they don't, we'll make them work?
We make it fit, yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to make them fit before they get down here. But yeah, we're working on the Lego process. So, we may show doing doors. We've done doors on, this is somebody's Model A, but we'll be putting doors on this one real soon.